one-handed win. However, Corvidae have some fire in them, have some fight, and it is all about this win for Legacy Genesis. This will mean they go into playoffs. This means that they are one step closer to getting into the OPL promotion tournament. We continue and we begin. Legacy Genesis versus Corvidae, and Thresh is going to be the first ban away from Zyda.
Yeah, no surprise. We were just talking about the man himself, Zyda. In terms of going into this game and what his playstyle will be, you have to assume he picks something that enables a whole lot of early
Absolutely,
game.
right?
Yeah, because he's one of those really heavy roamers. Now, the only other thing that would really help out this team is Ozza. Can Ozza actually adapt his playstyle? Because when we have to ask which one's stronger, Ozza's late game mechanics or Zyda's early game mechanics, you have to argue Zyda, because as far as the game goes, yeah, sure, Ozza knows how to sidestep, he knows how to dodge a whole lot of key skill shots, he knows how to prioritize targets, but those things haven't won his team games. You know what have won his team games? When Zyda goes off onto the mid lane, when Zyda goes off onto the top lane and gets some kills. So maybe Ozza has to be the one to give a little bit of room in order for Zyda to do that.
Maybe he picks an AD carry. Yeah, maybe he picks an AD carry that actually transitions into the mid-game, late-game smoother without the babysitting.
Exactly. I mean, you could even pick something that does have a really good late game, like, for instance, a Caitlyn, and you could just say, I have a good early game as well. My Q, along with a few auto attacks, will instantly clear a wave, and I don't really need a support there to help me.
See if the pick actually comes through for Ozza in something that is a little bit easy to handle. The Thresh, the Caitlyn, unfortunately off the board, and the Syndra banned away by Legacy Genesis, the Maokai, and the Cho'Gath as well. One more pick. We're going to come through, and Corvidae will get rid of the Jace for the final.
Now, Zac has been nerfed on this patch, but I still do assume that he must be really high there in terms of the jungle ratio. His Q got, the cost got doubled, so it's no longer 4% of your max health, it's 8%. Yeah, that's a little bit of a miss. It means that you have to really hit it, and also there's a whole lot of volatility coming his way, but he still does have a passive, which means that he can cell divide, he can always gank, and more or less the things go exactly the same as they used to. It's only late game when it's extremely noticeable. You have to assume that one of these two teams must be looking at it because it's open right now.
And the first pick is going to be Orianna for Hayri, and how do you respond to that? LeBlanc straight away for Taka.
Yeah, just as we said it, the mid lane matchup, Taka actually wants to take it 1v1. He wants to take it straight to Hayri. He wants to make sure that he can win this lane and a dominating style. At the very least in early game, normally when we think about mid to late game, we think about Orianna, throw a Q, throw an E, and all of a sudden the wave's dead. But in the early game, LeBlanc actually has the wave clear. And all of a sudden, drafting this one, you can push it into Hayri. Here we go.
Flubber? We got Flubber.
Obviously.
Man.
That's what I was talking about.
So Zac was left open and it's taken away. Maybe Babushka's going to start making work on this champion. A guy who's been playing Galio, you know, coming up in the top lane, I believe, and now he's in the jungle for this week. Such an important week. Corvidae, they don't have any pressure riding on them here. They know exactly where they stand, but they can disrupt the flow like we were talking about. Legacy Genesis, Babip, he's probably going to pick up that Jarvan, unless that goes to Artiferns up in the top lane. But do you somehow pick up, I mean, do you pick up another jungler? Do you pick up an AD carry here? I mean, Zaya's still open.
You could pick up it. Yeah, no, of course. You should probably go for an AD carry, because if you don't go for an AD carry, it could be banned out second rotation. All of a sudden, your pool is extremely starved. So that is the natural response. It does, of course, mean that supports will be starved on your side. And that could be really painful going over to Legacy, because Tilting isn't really known to have the biggest champion pool. He plays a lot of Zyra and a lot of Sona as well. So, you know, very easily targeted.
A lot of Sona. Yeah, Sona sounds right. Not a Nami as well we saw from Tilting when he was on the Tainted Minds team in the OPL. It could be the third time or fourth time around. The Camille having great amount of play tonight and has had a big success rate as well.
Yeah, I do believe that the Jarvan will be going topside for Legacy Genesis. They might be considering it more for the jungle now that Camille is locked in. Jarvan wins lane against Camille all the way until first back, and the Camille just pretty much runs over him. I mean, Jarvan's not a laner. Jarvan is somebody who goes into the late game, and of course with an Orianna, you know, it's a standard dunk composition. All you need to do is Jarvan, ultimate, set up the hoop. Orianna, chuck the ball in.
No one else could. I mean, like, if you're in the Cataclysm, is it?
Yeah. Dunk.
We are moving into the second ban phase as Ozza loses his Twitch, and Jax and Renekton coming through as the ban for Corvidae. Sorry. But if you look at how they're banning for a top laner. They must assume that Babip is picking that J4.
Yeah, you have to assume so. I mean,
Even though Artiferns week after week has played the J4
He
top.
has played J4. That's what was really strange. I mean, I think the only reason why they assume it will go to Bab now is simply because of the Camille pickup, like we did say before. But this is really dangerous for them because what it says to Legacy Genesis is they don't really fear tilting. They don't fear his champion pull, and they don't really fear his effect on the map as much as they fear Artiferns. So that's why a whole lot of these respect bans go across. Don't play with our hearts.
One for Rain. You know, Rain almost picked that up earlier in the day, and Ozza has been someone who's picked up the Twitch, the Jin. No way. He's not going to do it.
No.
He's got nothing to lose.
No.
Nothing to lose.
No.
Nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
Of course.
Damn it.
Why would he play it down on the bottom side? Urgot is such a good top laner.
Is he? Really?
He absolutely dominates anybody who wants a carry.
Play Camille mid. Remember G2 Perks played Camille mid? Remember
but then you have a full AD team composition except
but
for Zach.
cares?
Yeah, who cares about damage distribution? Just do full AD.
Well, Tristana's going to be locked in and maybe a more realistic pick for Ozar and a scaling composition that's already been well built by Corvidae. And he's going to be the Gragas locked in, so it looks like that will be a J4 top. So nothing banned away from Legacy Genesis. They get the Rakan as well, and that is just a disgusting composition that Legacy Genesis should not have gotten.
I mean, nobody really knows that Tilting can play the Rakan. He's much more known towards the ranged, supporty type of champions as opposed to the melee playmaking champions. So, yeah, it's a surprise either way, but over onto the top and jungle side, it's still a flex all the way until we see the very final lock in 3 seconds.
Janna. Okay, this is a 7.14.
Yep.
Ardent Sensor Rush, I'm assuming, but I mean, both compositions are quite disgusting. When you look at the Zac, Camille, LeBlanc, there's a lot of assassination potential here for Corvidae, but the scaling can be quite harsh as well. And you look at the side of Legacy Genesis, okay, they get to late game. How do they deal with Corvidae?
Well, it's the Wombo combo. The only person who doesn't really have a defined place inside this team composition is Gragas. But then again, every single basketball needs a delivery. That could be him. Fat Man, delivering it straight into the middle of the enemy team. Don't know why you wouldn't put it on the Jarvan anyway, but you know, it just really does fit the metaphor. So all in all, it is a pretty damn good team composition that you have drafted for yourself. If you manage to lock down a whole lot of people with tilting, then hopefully Jarvan's ultimate will get a multi-man. But it really is down to tilting to play this Rakan properly, because we haven't seen him play engaged supports before.
I just feel like Legacy Genesis have just constructed the perfect engage. Like that 5-man is horribly disgusting. That's actually a J4 jungle. End of the day, that's going to be a Gragas top for Artiferns. So maybe the bans were legitimate as we do jump into game number 4. Legacy Genesis taking on Corvidae. If Legacy Genesis pick up this win, they will be going through to playoffs. Corvidae need to disrupt the flow. So what can they do? They've picked up the Zac, the LeBlanc, the Camille, and the Tristana, even the Janna. There's disgusting compositions on both sides. Very yucky.
Yeah, so there's a lot of engage coming in from both of these sides, but respectively, both of them have actually drafted pretty good disengages. I mean, not a lot, just a bittle.
Just a bittle.
Yeah, because on the side of Legacy Genesis, you have Gragas Ultimate. The cast can, of course, disengage your enemies from you. You can create a whole lot of problems going over for Corvidae's entrance, but Babushka simply diving into your line and bam! All of a sudden, he's out of it.
What happened?
But on the other side, Corvidae, Zyda, both of them have exactly the same ultimates. It just pushes the enemy away from a certain point on the map. Unfortunately, Zyda has to put himself inside that space. But here's the deal. Zyda did not actually pick a very good roaming support. Janna is one of the worst roamers. If you go down into the mid lane, what are you going to do? Put a shield onto him and then back straight down into the bottom lane? Nothing else is going to happen.
But a lot of these laners feel like they can play safe to some degree. So maybe Corvidae have drafted a composition that doesn't need to rely on Zyda.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't have to, but Babushka is a very good enabler. They might have changed it halfway through their draft. They were initially thinking, we might put Zyda on a playmaker. Worst case scenario, give him to Leah one last time, and hopefully he can body bop Harry directly back into the middle of Taka. But they don't even need it because Babushka enables a whole lot of that, and it'll just be doubling down on more or less the same.
Zaya Rakan finds a double knockup, level 1 W. Ozza has to run back, gets a Christmas present on top of Drakon. But look at that, level 1 has just turned putridly for Corvidae.
Christmas? That was Halloween. Did you
Is
see
it?
that?
What's the Tristana thing?
It's like trick or treat. Do I get some candy? No, I actually take a whole lot of damage in return, unfortunately. So it wasn't the worst case scenario coming down from this bottom lane.
But with Christmas, you get candy, right?
What?
You get candy, right?
Wrong.
Okay, whatever.
I was way too late on that one.
You were too late on that. Set you up at everything.
Oh. And then the dominoes just fell.
Oh, man. Well, Babbitt is going to start with an early Scuttle Crab. Still level 2, so doesn't have that XP Quint.
Nope.
Babushka, SKT skin. Very nicely done. He's going to be going straight to Gromp.
Look at the blobs, though. The blobs, they look so
They
generic.
look like a peanut.
Nice.
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 Or was it? It was Peanut who did it. Or was it Blank?
Yeah, I actually really like that one. That wasn't bad. Even though it doesn't look like a peanut, yeah, I quite like the joke.
Okay. No. But who did the skin for SKT? Was it Peanut?
I
feel like it was Blank, wasn't it?
No, it was Peanut because Blank also got one, but his one was Olaf.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. Taka getting bruised very heavily in this mid lane. Misses the trade. Oh, misses the chain. Harry will still take the Thunderlords. Meanwhile, down bottom, Zyda only level 2. The Zaya Rakan lane. Again, it's just so filthy. You should know you cannot trade with them.
Yeah, but all in all, Corvidae keep on moving forward. Zyda's grouping up directly on top of Ozza. That allows a 2-man knock-up coming out from tilting. It's pretty much gifting it to him because right now, you don't draft Janna for the laning phase. Her laning phase is not that great.
Yep.
Shield isn't too big. Knock-up is very easily avoidable. You draft her because of her ultimate. And whatever she can do, Gragas can do more or less better in a holistic team composition. So all in all, Corvidae, their bottom lane is going to be struggling quite a bit. But Bushka should be looking down there because he has a lot of safety when it comes to ganking that lane.
Babip's coming down the mid side. Taka's very low. This could be an easy first blood. Flash forward, Dragon Flag. Very well read by Babip.
Have you ever seen a sniper that big? It wasn't even a bullet.
That's Australian sniper right there.
Exactly. He uses a spear.
Big bips. I mean, you got big swips, now we got big bips, right?
Yeah. It has to happen. He's one of the better junglers out there in the OCS. He's definitely proven his might.
Yep.
He can hit the skill shots. He knows where to be at the correct time. He's doing it right. Zyda.
Knock up again. The grand entrance will do exactly that. Drakon finds the root. Oz is in a bit of trouble. Shield will help him out. But there is no trading against this Zaya Rakan, who are continuously forcing him out.
Yeah, and they're just playing towards Legacy Genesis' strengths. They've always been known, at the very least, on the bottom side of the map, as a 2-man unit. They don't move. They don't go onto the other side of the map. They don't make plays elsewhere. They make plays as a 2-man unit in the bottom lane. Over on the other side, Corvidae, they don't actually do that. Zyda's not actually had that much synergy with Ozza. So now that they're on this Janna, now that they're forced to really play as a 2-man unit, it's not really working out for them.
And he's back in again. Doesn't have time to rocket jump. The Ignite is there. One more auto attack. It's all it's going to take. Ozza is not going to go down with Zyta's save.
Well, they proved me wrong. Their synergy is still fairly strong, but
he's still out of lane.
Yeah, like when you're talking about just the effect that they've had, yeah, it's very nice how Zyda and Ozza in conjunction with all of their summoner spells managed to save Ozza's life, but that was a life needed saving. Now he goes back. It's a whole lot of extra CS for Drakon. Drakon can go back, get his power spike so much harder than Ozza. Nothing's working out for the side of Corvidae. There needs to be some intervention. This needs to stop.
Now. What? It needs to get out of here. Is that what you're looking for?
Wrong.
Can't laugh at yourselves. What can you do? Legacy Genesis hold the 1k gold lead at the 6-minute mark. And it has been a very stock standard game. It was Babip the only one to pick up a kill, but a nice assist for Harry and that bit of CS margin. Taka is closing in on it. But level 6 now for Orianna. The kill pressure's there. Taka has the exact same thing. So what can Corvidae do with this mid lane, which we talked about in the analyst segment? We talked about how important it was and how influential taking down Harry or taking down Taka is. So where do you focus your attention? Do you still look at mid if you're Babushka? Because the Zac hasn't ganked yet.
No, you need to be taking a look at the bottom side. Because that's the side that's really going to be affected.
Oh, no.
They're the one that's furthest behind simply because it's Ozza and Zyda, you know, not too much synergy.
Yeah.
But more importantly than that, you need to put a chill pill onto Taka. He doesn't need to get ahead right now. You take a look at his build, he's already very far ahead because you got the Corrupting and you got the Dark Seal. So both of those in conjunction with each other, actually give him a mini power spike. It means that you get to stay in lane almost forever because of the extra extended time that the potion gives you. And the potion is also good in and of itself. So you just need to make sure that you get your very first item, the Gunblade for LeBlanc, and then go mid. What do you do until you get to that point? Just gank bot.
Ozza's missing so much farm. 10 CS behind. Babushka. Slingshot. It's what he needs. Orianna is vulnerable. Babip is there at half health. Babushka, are you going in?
He's going.
Oh, baby. He found him as the Dragon Flag will be used. Taka's going to follow up as well. But he goes straight back to the distortion, and Babip will use the blast code.
Okay, so that was really smart from Babip, because what he did is he laid down his flag, and he purposely didn't use his drag, because if he used his drag as Babushka came in, then all of a sudden he would have been knocked out of it. He had no way to disengage. So all in all, he waited for it. He took a whole lot of his health, but he kept his cool. No flash needed, no problem.
These shields starting to become very useful. Zyda levels it up level by level. And Oz's getting to be pushing out. Level 6 already picked up by this Tristana. Finally getting something back in this lane. He's still CS down. Babushka's still clearing out. Has no impact on the map just now.
Wait for his 6. It's just a race to 6.
Yeah, but Babip's won that race. He's already 6. He's going to find this control ward. Drop one of his own.
Babushka just reached it.
So how do we transition that? How do Corvidae start picking up objectives on this map, or at least get a kill in response?
Well, they need to definitely get on the board as we're taking a look at this right now.
Happens again. Ozza at half health. The shield is not going to be enough. Heal, I believe, almost available for Ozza.
It's about 20 seconds remaining, so Babushka should really be piling down to the bottom side. But instead, he's actually over on the top side of the map. And this is actually spotted out by the side of Legacy Genesis, because they saw him on the bottom side as he was taking his blue buff, as he was donating it over to Taka. So they know that he's moving over to his top side because the bottom side of his jungle is clear. Now that gives him a lot of breathing room to potentially make it gank down bottom lane, but instead they choose not to do it. This is very passive.
I mean, does passive work for Corvidae?
It works just fine because they got a Tristana scaling up into the late game. It just looks a bit wonky because a whole lot of times Ozza gets forced out of lane.
Yeah. I mean, denying away the resources, and end of the day, it is still going to be Legacy Genesis. If they pull off one layer of CC, the rest will probably connect.
Like an onion.
What? They have layers?
Yeah, layers of CC. You QSS one and another one just hits you straight in the face and you start crying.
Yeah, but that's only when you cut into it.
Yeah.
So you got to cut into it.
Yeah, and if you do it all at once, then all of a sudden there's no crying because it's just done really quickly.
No, that's not how it works. You shed more tears if you do it all at once.
You just chew some gum.
Well, we're changing now.
Yeah, it stops you crying if you chew gum. Did you know
Chew gum. Oh, I think you said garlic. I was like,
garlic?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What are you, a vampire?
Oh, I love it in my spaghetti, but hate it in everything else.
In your spaghetti? When I eat spaghetti, I don't pick that as the one ingredient I taste.
Obviously, there are other ones, but the garlic really enriches the flavor.
You put it in at the start as you're cooking the onions.
Correct.
You don't taste it. Learn your food. I'm going to teach you how to cook after this.
Not all of us have worked in restaurants.
Not all of us have cooked spaghetti, apparently.
I haven't. It's my secret.
What's wrong with us? Corvidae have kept this game nice and slow at the start, but Legacy Genesis happy to continue on. Here's another example. Ozza will send that cell phone on top of Dragon, whatever it is. Quickness was used, waste from Tilting.
Yeah, Tilting tried to get into that situation, but Ozza read it, and he actually moved backwards in time. That's going to go front page. No, it's not, because unfortunately it was actually denied from Tilting. It was just really good reflexes overall from Ozza, and now here's the gank backwards.
Flubber's down in the bottom lane. Ozza, does he die first? There's a Featherstorm Blade Caller to come through soon as well. Ozza moves out of the way, lets bounce. Does that kill him, though? Has to flash away. Babushka, too aggressive. As the teleport will come through as well. It's Taka, needs a Q, finds the first one, goes back into the distortion. Great for Corvidae, as Babushka will go flapper-tap-tap-tap on top of Tilting. Flash forward, Artiferns, ultimate's there, great hit from Artiferns. It will be a big trade across the map, but it wins for Corvidae.
And you should be expecting that if you're Legacy Genesis, because you know that Orianna...
The hell is happening? The shockwave misses as well. Taka, nice outplay.
That was 2 ultimates. That's completely denied away from Taka. Oh, that was worst case scenario for Legacy Genesis, but they are barreling down mid still.
Here comes Flubber once again. Babushka's there. Zach misses the stretching strike. Taka's back in. Looks for the stun, the root. One more auto attack. Babip has taken turret aggro. Taka goes in again. Popped around. Babushka still lives. What the hell is happening? As Raven has jumped in as well. Smite will keep Babip alive. And look, Zach does go down. Hayri finds a kill and no. Taka walks into an Orianna.
So that was actually really well played by Corvidae until it wasn't. because they got out scot-free. That was a play that Legacy Genesis wanted to make as a retaliation of everything that happened bottom side because of the roam that Taka put down. Corvidae managed to get out, and then they go back in and die.
Raven looking for an engage as well. Legacy Genesis, meanwhile, their bottom laners start hitting up this turret, and Corvidae just had opportunities to make Legacy Genesis fall flat on their face, and then they did exactly the same thing. They will find this first turret blood. Solo gold not going to Drakon, instead sharing it with Tilting. That's 375 each, and that is a big boost for Legacy Genesis' early game.
Yeah, I mean, that's no surprise. It's just the natural tendency of this bottom lane winning so much in the early game to simply get that turret without any jungle interference. This is the response, of course, which does scale very well going into the late game. And that is really all that Corvidae have to play towards, because until that play happened in the mid lane, they could have just done this.
There you go. They pick up the Infernal Drake. I believe the next one's going to be Infernal as well. And Legacy Genesis, their bottom lane will be spotted out by a ward. Still 3k gold lead, a still opportune moment. The Pumpkin will splat. And Zyda Oz now pushing to the limit. They got 20 CS behind, but it does not matter. This turret could be next on the radar.
Yeah, this is the response. Babushka is down nearby, so he will facilitate a gank should that happen. Very smart of Legacy Genesis. They simply back off because of the 4-man now with Taka as well.
And Ardent Sensor actually picked up by Zyda nice and early. Rocket Jump comes through. One minion just has to hit the turret.
Oh, no.
Feels bad.
That's feels really bad, man.
Meanwhile, we're back to the old flubber-dub-dub-dub. Here he goes again. Babip underneath turret. Shockwaves there, brings Taka back in. Turret will live, however, and Babip has got something to fear as a shield will help him escape.
Yeah, roots don't really apply to Jarvan because he can get out of it with his flag drag all the time, regardless of whether he is CC'd or not.
Here we go again.
Once more.
Okay, Babushka now looking for the Q. The stack coming through. Taka takes a lot of burn damage, and Babushka doesn't have passive. Hayri is huge. Artiferns is there as well. See you later, Taka. Woo! He gets bopped down, and Legacy Genesis across the whole map. As Oz's going to be next. No, he's not. He's going to jump away. But hey, look, Zyda's there. Let's get him. Flash forward. He gets hurricaned up into the air. Ozza sticks around. What the heck is going on? Dude, this is actually the messiest game of League of Legends I've seen in a while. 5k gold lead.
It's pretty messy. You couldn't clean this one up if you tried. Not in the span of one game. I mean, this...
Need a bigger mop.
Yeah, both of these two teams are trying to do it, and really all you need to do is throw even more dirt at it. Because at the current moment, if there are so many plays going on the map, then you can't physically react to so many other plays on the other side of the map. So both of these two teams trying to take advantage of the man down.
It's 15 minutes in, and there is a 6k gold lead by Legacy Genesis.
Yeah. They've definitely been leaving their mark. I mean, a lot of it has to do with Babip. Babip's been extremely proactive, especially around the mid lane, which is what we were talking about. But Bushka, on the other hand, ganked bot a couple of times, but didn't really reach anything else. You can see that the majority of that gold differential is actually in the mid lane. Harry's just been farming up his Storm while Taka's moved away.
Yeah. And Legacy Genesis are now pushing into the enemy side of the jungle. It's only 15 minutes in, and you just do not expect a gold lead this massive at this time frame. Oz and Zyda still trying to force in the 2v2. The one lane that's kind of equal, but Essence Reaver's already picked up. No Infinity Edge yet for Oz, so he has to be really careful how he approaches this. Zyda does have Ardent Sensor, but is it enough?
Yeah, that's just really strange decision-making coming down from Corvidae. They know that their bottom lane really struggles in this natural 2v2, but they move it over to the top side when they know for certain that Drakon and Tilting will be going there, thus extending the laning phase even further. What they should have done is they should have gone down to the bottom side and take down that turret. We know that it's on one hit. You literally just need to blow on it, and it falls down. But unfortunately, they go onto the top side. They're going to suffer even more in the 2v2. Doesn't work for them.
Just bringing me back to one of my old songs.
Good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. Legacy Genesis are completely in control. Babushka said it's time. He flubs his way back in. Makes two people kiss. Is a good wombo from Corvidae, and they disengage, sorry. Legacy Genesis, if they let this go to late game, however, Corvidae have an opportunity. But 5k is a lot to work with, even now.
It's incredible, and it's really being leveraged by Artiferns down onto the bottom side, 1v0. Now he will be met by Raven, but it will be at the turret as they crash. Meanwhile, on the other side, really just good lane assignments coming out from Legacy Genesis.
Artiferns looking comfortable in this 1v1 matchup, something you don't see with Gragas and Camille. They've found him again. Ozza goes too far. Sorry, Zyta And Drakon takes the brunt of damage. Ozza doesn't have Infinity Edge. Would have been a very different fight if he did, but they continue to insist on this 2v2.
They try to do it. They try to go on Zyda, but it's not working.
Babushka's been caught out again. The combo from Hayri. He's going to slingshot away on 1/4 health. That'll be enough for him now, but that ultimate down from Hayri can't really be capitalized by Corvidae at this stage of the game.
But Corvidae should be trying to look for a fight, especially Taka, because Taka has the 1v1 assassination potential, especially in the 1v1 in the mid lane. That is something that he should be playing around. All he needs to do is call Babushka down into the mid lane, and it's a lot of potential. But speaking of potential, Babip is roaming up into the top side.
Zyda going to find him there with the control ward. Goes for the Dragon Flag anyway. Taunts him a little bit. Very cheeky. Babip will still get the control ward, and the rest of Legacy Genesis are now looking for the altar.
They just need to siege this turret, because right now they have gold advantage, they have man advantage. There's not a lot Corvidae can do.
Babushka's come in. He's got the stretching strike, one more auto attack, but the range is exceeded. And that's not a word. Exceeded.
I'm excited.
Adir. Well, Raven down to the bottom lane, still initiating this 1v1. Raven now puts him in the Hextech ultimatum. Explosive cast doesn't get him out of it, so Taka's come in as well. They need two members to deal with this Gragas. He is so tanky, but Raven will be the kill in the end. It's traded for a turret, and still okay for Corvidae.
That was 100%, because right now Corvidae knew for certain that if they teleport down, man disadvantage in topside means they need to give up the turret. Of course, as we checked in before, Summer Breeze down onto the bottom side, just knocked down that turret.
There we go.
Bam. And the dirt is gone.
Rift Herald's the trade, though. Every single time Corvidae try to make a positive trade, it's responded so much quicker by Legacy Genesis. They'll get the Rift Herald, maybe open up another turret. Could just be dropped down mid lane. Babip will pick it up. Just back together. Just back together. Just back together. Okay, good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so
there we go.
Lovely. So what we were talking about when it came to the trade, if we started from the teleport down from Taka in order to secure the kill, one kill for one turret, and the turret was responded. But then there's also a Rift Herald, which throws everything out of whack. The seasons are out of whack. Equilibrium's not in order. What are we doing? Why is it so hot? Why is it so cold?
Freezing. It's not hot. Wish it was hot.
Not at all. We still have to win an extra.
Gonna be whistling through. So that was an Infernal. Let's go back. Take me back to Camille. You know you want to. Oh, cameraman! He didn't tell me what Drake is next. Feels bad. Cloud Infernal. Yep. Two good Drakes. Okay, one good Drake for Corvidae. And it is going to be a massive turn. Corvidae can bring this back. 5k gold lead has kind of shriveled out, but it still maintains the distance. And Tilting and Drakon, the one lane that hasn't really gotten off the ground. They do have the CS lead. They have found these nice engages, but still 0, 1, and 0. It has been the opening for Corvidae. It has been 2 out of 3 of their kills. If they make use of this, if they expose Drakon and Tilting.
I don't know if it's so much exposing, because if you take a look at the way that they've been playing and the amount of impact that they've had as a 2v2 unit, their scores definitely don't reflect it. They've been on the dominant side of the 2v2 against Ozza and Zyda. It's just unfortunate that a whole series of unfortunate events, especially including Babushka, managed to set him behind.
I like Jim Carrey in that.
Yeah.
You know? Played a good part. It was on Netflix.
I used to be a fan of his old work, not so much his new ones.
What, like
The Mask?
Truman Show?
Yeah, Truman Show was amazing.
Truman Show was good. Yeah. The Mask? Yeah, you said The Mask. It was.
Love that one. I mean, it's a complete 180 from Truman Show, but it's still lovely.
I mean, it's... You know Jim Carrey's in a movie because he plays Jim Carrey. He doesn't play another character.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? It's like Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler plays Adam Sandler. Morgan Freeman kind of does the same thing. We found another fight. Taka jumps in. Engage coming through from Babushka as well. They found Babip. Raven's joined as well. 4-man shockwave. Cataclysm out of nowhere. Let's bounce. Everyone survives. Pretty okay for Corvidae right now. Turrets are going down, but you shouldn't worry about that. Corvidae just took a massive wombo.
That was not for the kills. They didn't want to get any kill advantage down onto that. That was for the pushing down onto the bottom side. Now they get so many turrets. Count them as they fall.
Okay, here's the first one. Rift Herald going to get summoned behind.
One was already down on bottom lane, so this is number 2.
Hang on, Babip hits the turret, and this is going to be a full health Rift Herald going into that inhibitor turret. Corvidae just trying to chip it away, but boom! There it goes. How do they defend? Not too sure. He's going to get bopped around. Babushka's there. Rift Herald hits it down, and it goes. without a fight. Corvidae have made a crucial mistake. And again, they try to bop in. That's a 4-man slingshot. What can Corvidae do? Tilting goes in with the quickness. One goes down. Legacy Genesis for the chance at getting in the promotion tournament to get top 4.
What?
Raven, what the hell? What? He's going to save Flubber. That's what he's doing, but it doesn't matter. Legacy Genesis take another 2 members down, and the inhibitor will go with it.
Okay, so I knew exactly what Raven was doing, but I was questioning it so heavily because first and foremost, even if you save Babushka, as soon as he comes up, he's going to be falling again because of how many members were around him. Second of all, when you teleport, it CCs you as well, so he was potentially putting himself in harm's way. That's exactly why I was questioning it. It's very fortunate for him that Babushka dies, but he gets to live, but he just shouldn't have wasted that teleport regardless.
What a fight from Legacy Genesis. That 4-man shockwave from Hayri really opened the game. 23 minutes in, the gold was at a steady 5k. Now we've moved to 8.
And an inhibitor.
Climbing. Inhibitor's open.
That's unsung gold that you'll never be able to calculate.
You could say 2,000 gold, but I don't know. Look, again, the slingshot. And
yeah, that was a knock-up which really empowered Corvidae to go forward, but that was not the correct way because Ozza just gets absolutely taken down, and there's no damage coming down from the Corvidae crew. Tarka's the only person who's doing it left. There's the TP from Raven. Very fortunate that everybody else gets to get out with their lives, but at the start, it was just Ozza falling down, and when you don't have the damage coming out from a Tristana, when you don't have the safety net of a turret either, they're just throwing gold at you and taking you down.
Corvidae still happy to push out. Leave the quickness up and avail. Harry bursts down Zaita out of nowhere. And here comes the stun through. Ozza will take the quickness. Tilting still following up. Babushka has to run away to Taka. He has to use the blast cone. Jumps over the wall. He goes up into the air. Tilting's back in and safe. And Drakon picks up Flubberwub Dub Dub. And with 2 dead, 24 minutes. This could be Baron. You
remember the thing that you were asking last game about Tristana knocking somebody backwards and then the Rakan knocking people upwards? That was more or less what happened with that blast cone. Because Zach tried to get over the wall, he activated it, and then he was stopped midway by Tilting. Beautiful.
And this Baron will be uncontested, and Corvidae can not do a simple thing. I should say single, but simple is the word I want to go for there. Baron's going to be picked up. That's 1,500 gold. And now Artiferns is still holding bottom lane, and with the help of Baron minions, Raven won't be able to do much.
Yeah, and Artiferns is ahead in this 1v1, but eventually Gragas will fall off by sheer fact that Camille has dueling potential. That point will really be when Raven finishes his Ravenous Hydra. That will be the point in which he gets to outplay. But all in all, because of this lead that Legacy Genesis have accrued themselves, not only with the gold advantage, not only with the inhibit advantage, now also with the Baron advantage, you got to feel as if the window for Raven to start getting relevant in this 1v1 has just slammed down on his fingers as he desperately tried to crawl in.
Legacy Genesis, they rotate Hayri and Drakon up into this top lane. Hayri having a game, which we can be proud of, 5-0-4, hitting so many good shockwaves. It is really like he's like a light switch. And right now, he's turned on. He's lighting up the room. Legacy Genesis, yeah, he's absolutely lit. Spell it L-I-G-H-T. A great way to spell it. Corvidae rotating around, trying to snip down on Legacy Genesis. You're not going to find a thing, though. Babushka actually going in. Shockwave is missed. Maybe this is a moment for Corvidae. Let's Bounce will pick up absolutely no one. The quickness, however, does get Ozza, and he's getting chunked down massively. Monsoon's air flash forward. Big play from Drakon. Will stun up, and now he's turned his sights to Babushka with the rest of Legacy Genesis caving on in. Babushka is down.
The silent protagonist himself last week managed to make it to 33 minutes without so much as a glance from the enemy team. Now he makes the game-winning play that secures him this victory.
Ozza just gets deleted off of Summoner's Rift, and Raven is next. Cataclysm is there. Uppercut, but Hayri is shredding people, and he will be the next victim. Double kill to our light switch of the week. He's definitely turned on. And Legacy Genesis, with this win, will secure a spot in our playoffs.
Man, what a victory that they've had. From good to great, the early game was fantastic by everybody, and they just didn't let up.
Legacy Genesis have to be proud of that game, and it's like Athletico Esports. When it counted, when it mattered, they stepped up, but this one definitely did matter, and Corvidae was not a game that Legacy Genesis should have lost.
I mean, just everything there just seemed to line up for Legacy Genesis towards the end. At the 21-minute mark, you could really see where that composition came online.
Absolutely.
They were basically chasing them down. Yeah. All of a sudden, they say, wait, we've got the wombo combos. Come on, right at us. They just let all the abilities fly, and from there they could just win the game. They take all the objectives. It seemed almost effortless afterwards.
And it was pretty close to a perfect game. Unfortunately, the 3 kills going over did unfortunately ruin that for them, but it wasn't the worst case scenario in the world, because even in the parts where they lost out members, they still managed to get an advantage for themselves. So Legacy Genesis were trading favor for favor, and in this game, they just look really strong.
I think in the pick and ban phase, we've got to highlight how much Legacy Genesis actually got. They put together a wombo combo, which was so easy to execute and had a fail-safe measures everywhere.
What I like about it is it had a little bit of a off-meta vibe to it, where they decided to say, you know what, we got a J4 that normally goes in the top lane. No, this time around, went into the jungle,
LPL J4.
did a nice little swap around, and it performed well. Babib did well. He showed that, yes, I can keep up with this meta. I just need to put my own, guess you could say, style towards it, and this ended up being the J4 in this situation.
Spicy.
And I do want to touch on Legacy's bot lane as well, because they look at Corvidae. I like what they thought to do, because this time around they said, yes, let's do something to prop up Ozza. Let's get the Janna. Now, typically with Janna, though, you get the gold runes. That means what you do is you rush that Ardent Sensor. That's exactly what he decided to do this time. But Legacy Genesis said, no. We know exactly what you're going to do. We're going to bring it to you every single time. And they were just under pressure the entire time.
Yep. And it almost looked like Corvidae disabled their own playstyle in the way that they pick. Because, of course, I already touched on it a little in cast, but picking up the Janna for yourself means that you're going to have to babysit Ozza all of laning phase. There's very little roaming potential that the Janna has in the whole context of the game. And pretty much we saw inside the entire game, they were never apart. And these are the real lovers, because at the end of the day, it just didn't quite work out for themselves. Zyda, all of his playmaking on the other sides of the map, not there.
Yeah, normally you do see him roaming around. We did talk about it before and how important Zyda was to the rest of Corvidae. And this time it felt like they drafted a composition which wasn't reliant on that support, but maybe they need to take a step back. Corvidae taking that loss, of course, will put them down the bottom of the ladder alongside Team Noxide. Let's have a look at our standings for week number 7, as next week we'll be going into playoffs. So, of course, in our first position is Outlaws on 6-1. Second is Abyss Academy, 5-2. Third and fourth, 4-3. Now, we have an announcement as well. Our first 4, you can see there, will be going to playoffs. Outlaws, Abyss Academy, Legacy Genesis, and Athletico Esports.
Yeah, but the 3-way tie that you see between Legacy Genesis, Athletico Esports, and Sin Academy will have to be resolved in a head-to-head.
I believe that is a big moment there. I believe it was already decided, sorry, Preacher, by the head-to-head. Of course, Athletico Esports took down Sin Academy. Legacy Genesis took down Athletico Esports in prior as well. Corvidae and Team Noxide as well, unfortunately, will be on the bottom of the ladder there, but they had a pretty good split, and we hope to see them the start of next year as well, see how they go coming through. That is week 7, done and dusted. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we have a big one for you. It is going to be the playoffs, the semi-finals. When we go through that, it is going to define who our top 2 teams in the Oceanic Challenger Series are. The top 2 teams will be going through to the OPL promotion tournament and fighting off against the bottom 2 OPL teams. So, who makes OPL, and who do you think coming into this in our top 4 teams could potentially take it to our OPL teams?
You have to look at Outlaws. Those guys just seem to really be on top at the moment. Yes, they had a little bit of a falter, but that falter could be down to drafting, could be down to other things. Really, when you look at them playing, they just seem to be the complete unit at this point, at this moment in time.
Outlaws, Preacher, your pick?
You see, I have to pivot, and I have to actually say Legacy Genesis.
Wow.
Yeah, because when you're talking about going into the playoffs, I assume that's going to be on 7-15. We've only seen 1 week of 7-15, and man, they look so dominating on this week. So, you know, with a lot of recency bias, of course, that is thrown in there, but it has to be said that this is the patch that they're playing on, and they just look so informed.
I think when Athletico Esports are under the pressure, they perform their heck out of any of the teams. And going up against Outlaws, the team they defeated, Athletico Esports should have had a much easier split. They've struggled to come up, but when they're in good form, I think we could see a lot more from Athletico Esports. Is it the split where Dan Dane and Badoink actually go up into the OPL or get to the OPL promotion tournament? We're going to have to find out next week. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tune in then, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And of course, you can tune into the OPL this weekend, starting tomorrow at 3 p.m. That is your Saturday. Sit down, relax, and tune in. My name's Shaker Serek Sozipenko. Next to me is Jimmy Preacher Fu, Nathan Mendrix Mendez. And we will see you next week for the playoffs, also known as the semifinals.